What up? Sim in the building. I just want to go ahead and just put this quick video out. I just got off the phone with one of my buddies in New Orleans, um, finalizing this script. This is a movie, we decided to do. It's based on a true story of our experiences that occurred back in 2001. Um, and, we kind of like embellished the story, made it a comedy. And it's just a hella bad movie. In fact, we kind of compare it to Superbad times 10. If you ever seen Superbad, um, we were just talking about some of the females in the neighborhood that we came up in, and the choices that they made, and the men, some of the homeboys that we grew up with as well. Some of them are dead and gone, deceased, and no longer here anymore. And I spoke about this in another video, how when I go back home to New Orleans, I mean, if you go to my video, it's titled "Now They Want You." I speak more about it, about this one particular girl who, she chose one of my homeboys who ended up getting killed. But when she was coming up, I mean, she was looking very, very good, very, very nice. But she doesn't look the same anymore. And he confirmed that this girl is doing heroin, and I know she snorted coke and pop pills, but she's heavy on drugs, and we see that with a lot of the females back home. I always came up, like, I can tell you a couple of stories about how you know women would throw the pussy at me, and I would, like, turn it away, because I never wanted to be a manhole. I never wanted to take and approach the girl that you know who was innocent, the girl who didn't have all of the baggage and shit like that, and here I am, like, this sexual nympho who's fucked around with like 20 plus women. I never wanted that, and a lot of my buddies, they fall into that category. A lot of them, they fucked like well over 20 women. I know one buddy. He says, like, over his years he's fucked well over 80 women, and I've always kept my count low. In fact, my count is so low that I can remember every girl that I've ever messed around with, and I don't run out of fingers when I count. You know what I'm saying? And this is a man in his mid 30s, very conservative, always used protection. And when I finally started messing around and I lost my virginity and shit like that, it was to a woman who has been around the block a couple of times. Like, I felt like she gained more out of it than I did, and I kind of felt cheated. And I always wanted to experience having that experience with someone who has never experienced the sex before. But unfortunately, I couldn't find her, and I had to settle. I had to downgrade. But now, as I get older, like, I don't downgrade at all. You know what I'm saying? Um, I just feel fucking sad for a lot of these women, man. I know that the older that they get, they're going to have to downgrade. Me, on the other hand, it's not the case. I am not a sexual nympho. I'm not a freak. In fact, like, every female that I've ever fucked with, I could tell a story about them. And there's only been, out of my entire life, there's only been one night stand that I've ever had, and I was with this Hispanic girl that I met at the library. You know what I'm saying? But I never thought that, just because I'm a guy, and I shoot my stick off to all of these females, then that would just add to my alpha maleness. I always thought, okay, you got to keep it strict. You can't be thirsty around these females, and you still got to stand your ground, and you got to have confidence. And some of those things I noticed as I was coming up, it would drive a lot of women away. And as I got older, I realized why it drove a lot of women away is because I wasn't as submissive as a lot of these other guys. I wasn't like mama boyish, and I wasn't heavily into God and all of that shit, man. But I mean, I decided to get into the dating game heavy and doing all of that shit, like I said in another video, because here I am getting older, and the quality of a female that I wanted, the quality of a female that I was raised under, like my grandmother. I mean, these types of women, they're just hard to find or they don't exist. Or maybe I was just passing them by because they were overweight, or we had that conversation as well about, the fat women are usually the nicer ones, and the reason why is because they are overweight, and they have no choice but to be humble because they realize that being nice is sometimes can provide that extra attractiveness that they can pull these guys. But when we messing with a guy like me who is in shape and fit, it's like, well, do I really want to deal with this overweight woman? No, it just doesn't match. And a lot of guys talk about this shit, but I just wanted to kind of like point that out, man. You know, I always thought that I would find that female that, you know, she is not experienced and I am not as experienced in the sex game, and then we both learn this together. We both have our kid together. We experience all of this on the initial at the same time. So when I started fucking around and I lost my virginity to a girl who was fucking around with other guys and shit, and she had other choices and shit, and just so happened she and I hooked up, and I ended up having to know her for a couple of months before I eventually fucked her, and it wasn't any relationship involved. It wasn't like our relationship leading up to having sex was a relationship like, okay, we're boyfriend and girlfriend, we're going steady and all of this. It wasn't the case. It was just friends. We were just friends, and she would come over, we would hang out, watch TV, and one night she got drunk at the club and we were both tipsy, and she had already spent the night by my house several times before. Like, she's actually slept in my bed while I slept on the couch, or one night like she slept over by my house and she slept under the covers and I slept on top of the covers, that type of thing. But then this one particular night, we just took it to another level and ended up fucking around, but we were never in a relationship. You know what I'm saying? So like, after I fucked her for that one time, I just lost all attraction. I didn't want to really be around her because she was loud. She had like social issues. She had issues with other men. And I just didn't want to deal with that type of drama. But the only reason why I did it is because, hey, you're getting older now, and you gotta hurry up and do something before motherfuckers start looking at you funny. But at the end of it all, like, I felt guilty, and that's what made me not really want to deal with her anymore, because I felt real guilty for doing it. I mean, she is the one who pushed it. Like, we in the car, she's giving me head, and then the next thing like, she's fucking me, and then I'm like, oh no, like, I gotta take and put on a condom, and then she was like, I was just enjoying myself, and you just pulled it out. I had to go through that type of shit, and I was like, no, because even though she didn't have any kids, like, she was sexually active, and she's told me some stories and all of that, but she wanted me to continue, and I was like, no, I gotta put on the condom. And then she came in the house, we sat down on the couch for a little while, and then we ended up going upstairs, and we ended up crashing, falling asleep. And then the next morning, she got on top of me and, like, dry humped me and shit. And that was the first time I ever fucked around. Like, it was a fucked up experience. You know what I'm saying? Real fucked up experience. But, coming up, like, middle school, high school, and I'll be honest, even in elementary, like, I could have fucked around with plenty of women. But the culture that I was raised in, I always thought that there would always be that one woman that was out there who, was praying, or at least hoping, like, wherever my man is, I just hope that he's behaving himself, and I always wanted to behave myself. And I still do it that way, because I never want to run into a female who, she's just so good of a female where she doesn't deserve to be with a guy who has fucked around with various women. Like, she deserves a guy who was conservative and disciplined throughout his entire life, man. You know what I'm saying? And that's why, besides that, in the culture of a lot of these women now, it's why I'm conservative as far as who I fuck with. You know, so I just wanted to put that out there, man. A lot of guys, they can't even tell you how many females they've lost count. And I always, you know, kind of like kept count. I can tell you like the names of the females that I fucked around with in the order. You know what I'm saying? And it's not a whole bunch. You know what I'm saying? So I just wanted to just put that out there, man. You know, it was crazy, man. I just got off the phone with this guy, man. We was talking for a long time. This nigga said, he said, man, I get tired of fucking around with these females, man, who've been ran through so much, where, you know, they take off their clothes and you look at their vagina and the shit looks like roast beef. You know what I'm saying? Like, I said, yeah, you're right, man. She be hanging out. She look like a baboon. You're like, nah, you know, that should be looking like roast beef, man. Like sliced roast beef. And, like, wow, man. Shit, dog. Like, wow, that is funny. I was like, shit, that is crazy. He said, man, you know, that's bad, man, because what make it so bad is that, you know, I just bought me some roast beef earlier today, man, and I gotta fuck around and eat that shit tonight. I was like, wow, that's crazy. But it's true. These fucking women just don't take care of themselves, man. After they, you know, live this life and they have these kids, like I had a story on another video where this girl I know, she fucks around with other guys, and, you know, she has this relationship with this D-boy who she fucks around with in the trap house, and the D-boy has a house with another woman who has about 3 of his kids. You know what I'm saying? So he hustles at the trap house, at the bando, and then, you know, has her over there. He has his trap house fixed up nice with fish aquariums and a couch and cable TV and all of that shit. And then, you know, when he leaves there, he'll go home to his house with, you know, his potential wife and other kids. So, you know, this girl who I know, who I've talked with, you know, she fucks around with other guys as well. And then, you know, her main dick is him. But, you know, basically you're his side bitch. But then she makes this statement about how she does these pussy exercises, you know, to kind of like contract the muscles in her coochie so that, you know, whenever she fucks around with, you know, her main guy, which is this dude, then he won't say, hey, you know, something's not right. Something's not right. You know, your pussy's feeling kind of loose, and, you know, like somebody else has to be hitting this and all of that shit. Like, I was like, damn, that's crazy. I know I'll never be fucking with you. You know, I wish I did have me more of a conservative woman to deal with. I really do. You know, that's the ideal. You know, and I see it too. Like, a lot of these women who are conservative, a lot of these women who aren't out there running around, fucking around with these guys, the women who aren't, you know, considered the type that's been around the block, they still end up choosing some of these fucked up ass niggas at the end of the day. And I'll come to the conclusion that it's a power trip. Like, I'm not saying, you know, that anybody on YouTube is doing this. I'm just giving a hypothetical. Like, just say, for instance, and I really don't want to say any names, but just say, for instance, one of my homegirls on YouTube, you know, one of my conservative YouTube subscribers, you know, just say them, you know, like, I look at their videos and, you know, they look beautiful, real beautiful, you know, real cute, like, you know, like, you know, very, very attractive women, natural hair, you know, pretty smile, and then, you know, you find out what type of men they want, and it's like, you know, they want a roughneck. And, you know, I'm like, okay, well, you know, they want the roughneck, but when it comes down to the money, when it comes down to the resources and the stability of these guys, eventually they lose their stability. Because when you're young, yeah, okay, I can see these women want the bad boys. They make the wrong fucking decisions. But then when they get older and they realize, well, you know, these guys, you know, if you ask them, where do you see yourself at 40? And they can't tell you anything. They have no plans. They have no goals. And then you end up leaving them because they have these felonies and they're at home playing Xbox with the rest of their friends and shit. and then you end up breaking up with them because you can clearly see that they have no goals and no virtues. And then you come and look for guys like me and shit, you know what I'm saying? The ones who are disciplined, who have been disciplined all of our lives. And then, we just not checking out for you like that. Like, I've seen it a lot of my life growing up, man. A lot of the nerds and a lot of the more quieter women, who I went to school with, behind closed doors, they always wanted to fuck with the thugs and shit too. And then I also see a lot of the thug niggas, they have these kids by their baby mama, and they may have a couple kids here and there, but when they decide to get married, when they decide to really settle down, they're fucking around with the quiet girl who maybe has one kid by a previous relationship, or they're fucking around with the girl who has, they're fucking around with the girl who has no kids at all, the quiet girl who has no children at all. These are what the thug niggas are fucking with. And then they run around, and they brag about it to their baby mamas, like, yeah, me and my girl, we about to get married and all this, and they got the baby mamas by the other children all pissed off, you know what I'm saying? Because now they found the quiet chick. So that's what makes brothers like me and, a lot of brothers on YouTube just say, you know what, fuck all black women. You know what I'm saying? But I really don't want to be like that. One guy actually made this statement. We got a hangout that we're supposed to be doing sometime. But he made the statement about a lot of the quiet girls too who are complaining about they're not getting any attention. No guys are hollering at them unless they wear the weave and all of this shit. He says that most of these women were probably overweight, or they probably were unattractive to begin with in the first place, But that goes back to what I was saying on the video where I talk about now they want you. A lot of unattractive women, they seem to be more attractive based on their attitude. And then, my buddy I just got off of the phone with, he said, yeah, the more humble ones are usually the bigger girls and shit like that. Of course, because they're the ones not getting anything, but eventually they turn up to be mean and, kind of like uncooperative as well. So that's why a lot of brothers was like, you know what, just leave all these black women alone and shit, because a lot of black women aren't even speaking up for us. And a lot of black women aren't saying, well, you know what, there is a difference between thug niggas and, smart, stand-up, well-to-do, educated men. So I really did, growing up, I really was hoping that I could find me a woman with like strong attributes, like, Spinderella Wordsmith, or like Jazz Coast to Coast, you know what I'm saying? Like somebody who, they stood in their own lane and, they were goal orientated and shit. But, my upbringing was very, very traditional, very strict. I had hobbies, I had goals, but in my neighborhood, it just wasn't like that. A lot of these guys, they just wanted to run the streets and do drugs and be the bad boys, and it was based off of the media. It was based off of, watching, Menace to Society and a lot of these gangster movies where that was the norm. That was the guy who was getting all of the women and shit like that. But I learned quick, there isn't a large percentage of black women who thought like how I did and how my buddy did, who I just got off the phone with. They weren't out there. And that's what eventually got us both, saying, you know what, fuck it. We're just going to just join, the rest of the game. We're just going to get into the dating game and shit, because now here it is. Now we're in our 20s and shit now, and, we don't want to end up 30-year-old virgins and shit. That's really going to make us look bad, and that'll make all women not fuck with us. I've seen documentaries and movies where there were men in their 30s or late 20s who were virgins and shit. And, these women would be like, oh, you're a virgin? Oh, man, I can't mess around with you. Oh, no, you're too good. You're too good. Like, you don't deserve a girl like me. They would never, ever get laid just based off of the fact that they were disciplined and shit. So I was like, no, I don't want to end up like that. But I still felt like shit. I felt dirty after the first time I ever had sex with a female, man. I really did, man. I felt like shit. And I noticed just all the women that I had available were women who have been around the block a couple of times. And I hated that shit. You know what I'm saying? I hated it. So I'm just go ahead and end this video right here, man. I don't want to talk too long. Just wanted to kind of like share the story with you, man. Just let everybody know that I'm still alive. So you guys be cool. This is Sam Sim. Peace.